In hour 14, we concentrate on adjectives and the variety and the variations of adjectives when we express differences. This is an initial 27-minute introduction to the patterns. This is simply where I taught my Korean niece. This is a basic lesson if a student wants to study it by himself. And here are two PDFs. The first PDF is basically showing people how to compare things. I bring this up because most of my history with teaching is that of teaching students who speak Korean. And I found that there was a consistent shortcoming when they tried to verbalize these three different aspects of comparing things. There are 7 simple ways excuse me, to ask what the difference between something is. There are 2 ways, general ways, to ask how things are the same and how things are similar. I would see if your students are familiar with these and if they're comfortable with them. Once again, I bring this up because I focused on it because my students usually had a little bit of a problem with it. I then tried to make a little graph here of things, how we express things that are not equal, things that are the same, and things that are almost the same. You know, it's different than that, it's different from that, and things that are the same is the same as that, it is as big as that. Sometimes with the adjective, with the verb, depending on the adjective, there's changes in how things are equal. I study as much as him, I study as hard as him, I study as long as him. Also, when things are similar, it's like, it's almost the same as, it's almost like. So I would review this with them to see if they can picture in their mind, very simply, that there's 3 areas. Gain control of those and utilize those. Then with the adjective, there are different degrees of strength of the adjective. If you just have the regular adjective beautiful, she is beautiful, if these go before it, these adjectives, these adverbs, it's the most beautiful, she is a lot more beautiful, she is more beautiful, she is as beautiful as her, less, much less, and least. I include these here, although they're not used as much as the top 4, but just to give them an idea. This is with the adjective only, and this is when you combine it with a noun. And with a noun, you can see the change here with the addition of then, and here it is as big as her house. So I would review these with a couple of questions, seeing if they're picking up on it. Also, with adjectives, there is quite a bit of changes. I'd say maybe almost 50% of adjectives change when they come in combinations with the most, much more, and more. And what I did is, in this second PDF, if you open it up, I made a chart of commonly used adjectives. These shorter forms that we'll find in the bottom here only refer to these changes made when you use these 2 adverbs. With less and the least, the adjectives remain the same. It was the least expensive. There's no change. So with the adjective, you have excuse me, expensive, more expensive, the most expensive. However, with some adjectives, there is a shorter form. She was angriest. She was the angriest. I've left it blank here if there's no change. For example, beautiful. She is beautiful. She's more beautiful. She is the most beautiful. The has to be used in all of these. Bad, of course, has shorter forms. It was worse. It was the worst. So, as you can see, there are quite a few that have shorter forms which come into play. And you simply have to, in the beginning, it may be overwhelming to know all of them. I tell them if they're unfamiliar with the use of a particular adjective to just put more in front of it or the most in front of it, and people will be able to understand it. So, for example, if somebody says lonely and they don't know whether there's a short form, I just say, just say she is more lonely, or she is the most lonely. There are short forms. They'll begin to get used to these as time goes on. Just to sit down and memorize them all at once is a large task and very frustrating. So I like the avenue where I don't frustrate the students. They learn at their own pace. They pick up a few at a time and basically begin to gain confidence. There are a few here that I've put these dashes here where they don't even have, it's all right does not have more all right and the most all right. Doesn't have a short or long form. So these are the only ones that have the short forms available with some adjectives. The least and less have no short forms. In the beginning, too, what I have here is, because it is an important part of the language, at the very beginning where I give some how-tos, I do include how to compare. This is a short, if you tap on here, a short 7-minute YouTube video comes up which explains the use of more and the most. These are the two same PDFs that we saw before. So these are teaching aids. Perhaps your students don't have problems with this. I hope they don't, but especially with these top forms here, I would make sure that they are familiar with them and use them with confidence. I also point out to them that the same, this is the only adjective that I'm aware of where the is used with the adjective. Are they same is no good. Are they the same? The is always used. Sometimes you'll find students that don't realize that, so you have to just correct a small mistake and turn their weakness into a strength. Thank you.